Part of the preparation for an election production, of course, is the preparation of graphics. Here in this segment, let's have a look at XPression and how we prepare a template or graphics that we have and prepare them for the elected data that it's going to receive. For simplicity, I've preloaded an XPression template which has already been prepared for our elected data. What we see here is scene names. We'll begin with that. The scene names indicate to our elected system the data that's going to be within it. So whether or not we're choosing an individual candidate choice or a contest where we're actually sort of comparing them. The difference between the choice, an individual candidate, and contest is broken out in the browser section. So here you can see as I scroll down through, we have options for contests and enabling multiple candidates. Some of them have our 2 headshot, some of them pull in 3, possibly even 4 candidates. But what is key for elected is that in the brackets we have in contest or choice to help the database know what type of template this is. Now, instead of data link, where we would use data link to connect to a database or an RSS feed for the data, elected uses a simplified mechanism, which is simply naming, a naming convention. So here, for example, I've highlighted in my object manager a number of objects for our first placeholder candidate. So in this case, the first choice, and it's enumerated as 0. If I scroll down on my object list, I'll actually be able to see the second candidate. Same naming convention, only enumerated with a 1. So obviously this is the next candidate in the list or of an elected sorted data list. What you can see though is that elected is pulling from the database by these names the different content pieces. So votes, percentages, the candidates' names. Now, all of the names that elected would use inside of your graphic template are published here, so they're all fully documented. Here at the top, what we can actually see just very quickly is the different names that we might give scenes. So we talked a little bit a moment ago about the contest and the choice, so that's what goes in the brackets. And the name that you have in front of that is again up to you or your graphic department to help you identify what type of template it is. So an example of a name, and we saw it in our example, might be HS for headshot or 2-3 HS for 2-3 headshot. Further, you can see as I scroll down the list here, the choice and the different pieces of information that elected has for that particular candidate or choice, as we saw. Further scrolling down the list, you can see a lot more detail, not just the choice, but then of course the party, information about the party and polls. All of that information is in elected, and we simply need to use these names, naming tag names, in our scenes in order to be able to pull that data from our elected system. Looking back at our XPression project, and again, identifying the fact that we've got scenes that are named with contest or choice, and then of course a name to identify some information about that scene. We've already looked at the object manager. What we want to look at now is what elected supports as far as standard XPression features, such as layering. So in this particular case, I'm going to take a look at this particular scene, and on the take item we can see that this candidate headshot appears at a very background layer. We want this to appear behind all of our other scenes. Of course, we can have multiple scenes on air at the same time. So if I scroll down to sort of this ticker style graphic we have, you can see that it's on a layer higher than my 2-candidate headshot. So in this case, you can see that we can put both of these scenes on at the same time using elected, and possibly showing different election data, or data from different points of the election, different regions at the same time. So of course, elected supports all of the XPression layers, frame buffers, so if there's multiple channels, you can support that as well. Finally, looking at XPression itself, we use transition logic. So elected, when it plays out, allows you, or has support for creating transition logic rules, such as, for example, the in and the out. So based on the rule, we look over here at the scene director, and you can see we have different scene directors, which we utilize to play our graphics in or out, and of course using transition logic to determine which one of those scene directors needs to be played. Once we have our XPression project file completed, we launch a tool called Gears. Gears is a universal tool that's used for ticket as well as elected, and in this tool it allows you to publish to the database information about your XPression project. So here you're looking at Gears, and you can see there's multiple tabs depending on what type of project or graphics we want to publish. Of course, I'm going to use elections for our particular case. Here I have a folder full of election projects, different graphics that we have built. We've been using the Flare project, so I'm simply going to select that project. So unlike data link, where we're connecting to a database and looking at various data values and pulling in specific ones, Gears is a visual publication tool where in it, when I click on the update button, Gears will update to our elected database the scenes that we have available, and they have as a list basically of the scenes that have been published, and of course all of those tag names and content will get pulled based on, of course, the scene type that we've defined here. After publishing in Gears our project scenes, we're able to find those scenes inside of the elected interface. From the browser, if we look at our rundown, we can actually see both the 3D as well as the flare scenes which we published from Gears.